Welcome back to another More Insights and Strategy podcast where we cover the most important factors in tech, but most importantly, we analyze it on the impact to businesses and to consumers. AI has been the talk of tech for the past 18 months. As I'm the principal at the company, but I've got every one of my analysts hitting AI in their certain swim lanes. I just got off going to Google Cloud Next, and it's one validation point after going to these big companies' AI conferences is that vertical is where it's at, and that may sound like a throwaway line to the audience here, but it is everything about what companies can do in their swim lanes. And I've got a great guest on for this week's pod. We got Marc Fredman, Chief Strategy Officer at CCC Intelligent Solutions.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, probably a great place to start is if you could talk a little bit about CCC Intelligent Solutions, maybe talk a little bit about just give a company overview, talk about the tech and the customers and markets that you serve.
Sure. Yeah. So CCC, we are the cloud platform for what we call the P&C, property and casualty insurance economy. And what that means is not just insurance companies, but collision repair body shops, parts suppliers, auto manufacturers, diagnostics providers, essentially everyone that has to come together to resolve the moments in your life that lead to a property and casualty insurance claim. And so what we do is we connect more than 35,000 companies so that they can do what they do in that process as best as possible for their business and for the consumer, and also so that they can connect and collaborate with all those other companies on a single multi-tenant cloud platform. And so every year, more than $100 billion of commerce is transacted between those companies. I'm sure we're going to talk about this a lot. We've been doing AI for many years. A lot of deep workflows, to your point about vertical software. So we're a very specialized vertical within the customers that we serve. And we're very fortunate to have been doing this for a long time and have a great net promoter score of customers, 83. And so it's one of the things that we've been able to see is what does it mean to be on the forefront of innovation, but also do it in a way that really delivers real world value across those different customers that we work with.
Yeah, Marc, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm sure everybody listening or watching this podcast can relate to some sort of insurance claim out there. And it is impressive that, AI is nothing new to the company. I think you've been doing this for over, 10 years and processed millions of image. And by the way, that is one characteristic that I found in my research that separates the pretenders from those who are actually getting ahead of this is longevity, right? This is a very complex. So property and casualty insurance, it's very complex. I mean, it goes from state to state in different, you have domestic rules as well for the nation. A lot of risk sharing, remediation. It really is a business of data. You talked about you offer a multi-tenant cloud platform, and you're essentially the, lack of a better term, the technology dealer to these companies. Can you drill down on that? Give us a little bit of detail.
Yeah, no, so I think to your point to start, it's a great point about just the nature of insurance and what it is. I think a lot of people don't like to think about insurance. Obviously, there's 2,500 people at CCC that do. But really, insurance is what makes truly society function and work. And it's not just when you think about the only way you can drive a car is if you have insurance, the only way you can get a mortgage, insurance. Even deep space exploration, SpaceX buys space insurance to make sure they can underwrite and insure launches. And so
Did not know that, Marc. Did not know that. That is cool.
Yeah, no, it's everywhere, and it's one of the things in a way that people don't always think about is the ability to take risk is actually supported by insurance, and it's the ability to take risk that lets you innovate. So a lot of what our daily lives are really enabled by this kind of hidden industry that a lot of people don't think about. but it also is what allows us to move forward with innovation. And so there's all kinds of stuff around sharing information, sharing the burden of that complexity. And so for our side of it, we really deal with the claim side. So that's when people really think about their insurance and when it actually has to get to work. And what ends up happening is that insurance claim is not a single event. It's actually a domino, is the way we think of it. It actually is going to kick off dozens, if not hundreds, of micro events, these moments that are going to characterize your experience in trying to restore your life to what it was like before before that accident occurred. And so a lot of the things that we do is connecting people in those things, but there's a lot of decisions that are happening across that way. And so to your point on the AI, we've been doing AI for over a decade. We've actually processed almost 20 million claims using a CCC AI model. And to your point, there is definitely a lot of pixie dust. People talk about AI and things. We actually were one of the first companies. We were buying our own NVIDIA GPUs 10 years ago,
You're
posting
doing
those.
it before it was cool,
Yes, it's definitely not
as we
cool to
say.
be buying GPUs, 2014, 2015, those types of things. Managing those, having those on our own private cloud, things like that. But we had to figure out a lot of the technology before it was really created. You didn't have all the tooling that you have now with the public cloud providers and things like that. So the way you think about data hosting, data cleansing, data sanitization, model development, model maintenance, model deployment, a lot of those types of things. We've always had the benefit of having a lot of data that runs through our platform. So we processed over $1 trillion of historical data, and we call it hyper local data. So when you think about a specific part price, a specific cost for something, a specific amount of hours or minutes to repair something in a specific geography, that's how hyper local, hyper specific we have to get. So whether it was convolutional neural networks, transformers, all kinds of stuff, we've always had to be at the forefront of those things. And that goes back to this idea we talk about of practical innovation. It's very cool to build an AI model. It's very cool to post that out somewhere, but we think it's very cool. It's particularly cool if you can actually put it to production. And so that's one of the things that we focus a lot on is working with customers. To your point, our industry, very complicated. You've got state departments of insurance you have to be thoughtful of, and every customer is different. So every insurance company, repair facility, these are all unique businesses, and they all have their own unique way of doing business. So we've had to create not just the way to deploy these models, but how do you do it in a way that allows flexibility and relevance for each of those different customers. But we feel like, while we've made a lot of progress, it's still the early innings of the transformation of this industry. One of the big things that I always flag to people on this industry and just the sheer complexity of it is that every year, between auto claims being opened and auto claims being closed, a cumulative more than 2 billion days elapse every year. So that is people waiting to get their car back on the road, waiting to get their medical bills paid. And so that's sort of the collective challenge that we as an industry have to get past. And obviously technology plays a big part of that, but it's also, how do you think about technology? And then how do you actually deploy technology into the existing systems and platforms that you're already using?
No, that's great. You've talked about IX Cloud it's an event-driven architecture, and I'm a tech nerd, so I instantly go to, oh, there must be microservices or something like that. But again, and you said this great. It's not about how cool the tech is. It's what the tech can do for your customer. So, related to claims and collision repairs, can you do a double click and maybe give some customer examples of the benefits that they're seeing with the IX Cloud?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you think again about a claim is an event, but it's also actually composed of dozens of micro events. And so we call these sort of moments that are happening across the life of a claim. And then we do those 18 million times a year. There's more than 20 million auto claims every year in the United States. We process about 18 million ourselves. And so when you think about each of those moments are going to be things that are going to be relevant for that consumer experience, the employee experience, the performance of the business, those types of things. And so we've been in the cloud since 2003. Again, you talk about doing things SaaS before it was cool and people talked
Yeah.
about it. So we've always had, or for many years, we've had all these customers and partners on a single multi-tenant cloud. But we felt like it was time to take that to the next level. And the way to think about that is, while we process all these different claims and we've had all these different connections, we felt like technology had advanced to the point where, through a new event-based architecture, which I'll explain more, we could actually help to provide a new level of synchronicity and orchestration across those events. So I'll give you a very practical example. So you think about the dozens of moments, these micro events happening in a single claim. One in particular that is very simple to understand is something in our industry called a supplement. And a supplement basically means when you start fixing the car, you find out that there's more damage than you thought there was. So it's supplementary to what you initially thought. Now, that sounds like a very specific and simple thing, but it actually kicks off all kinds of different things downstream. So the insurance company has to review and approve that supplement. They have to update what's called reserving, how much money they're holding back for the claim. The parts supplier has to make sure the parts are available and sent to the body shop for that. The consumer has to be notified. Maybe the rental has to be extended. The agent might have to be notified. Payment has to be issued. So all of these different things happen from that very specific event within the claim event. And today, a lot of that happens honestly kind of manually or in an uncoordinated way. A lot of phone calls, emails, different point-to-point integrations and solutions. And so what you'd really like to see, if that was really going to be an intelligent experience for everyone involved, is when that event was identified, it would propagate and kick off and orchestrate all those different things that I described. And that's just one example of all the different things that you could happen. You could multiply that times the 50 other things that happen in a claim and the 20 million times a year. But those are things that are going to be specific to each customer. And so we want to be able to give people the tooling with this event-based architecture to
Right.
design those intelligent experiences that make the most sense for them.
Yeah, I'm envisioning, this massive flow chart that I guess in the good old days was very serial. And I can imagine that you've parallelized many of these things, and in the end, really making your customer's customer a lot happier. It's pretty clear, overused term here that us analysts use, digital transformation. And it's clear to me that you are the digital transformation engine of the insurance agency. And, I have poked around white papers. There really is real tech that's in here with your own unique IP. Can you do the double click maybe on your AI, IoT, and workflow solutions and how you deploy those to your customers?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with the concept of transformation. I think maybe just as a backdrop for this industry, and this is true, I think that's happening in all aspects of life, but the P&C insurance economy in particular is dealing with a massive increase in complexity. So we talk about a lot of different trends. You can think about hybrid workforces, aging workforces, data privacy, all kinds of things that are going on. All those things have the effect of dramatically increasing complexity. And even cars themselves, you might not realize this. If you look at just the bumper of a car, it's actually a bumper assembly. There's actually subcomponents in it. The parts in a bumper have gone up 30, 40% over the last
Oh,
10 years.
yeah. I mean, bumpers are in the news and for all the wrong reasons of complexity, right? Particularly when you have these sensors
Exactly.
in them.
The adaptive cruise control. So now I have to check if those systems were damaged. I have to maybe recalibrate them. So all of that's happening at a time where you have this massive increase in complexity, but you also have a time where people are looking for radical simplicity. And you're also seeing all of our customers having to do more with less. So this is an industry that has really been impacted by retirements. Again, that increase in complexity. How do you give people the tools and the knowledge to be able to do some of those things? So that's kind of the mega trend that we try to help our customers navigate. How do you deliver those incredibly intelligent, simple experiences for people, whether it's your customer, your employees, but also be able to do that in a way that gives a great outcome for your business. And so that comes down to a few things. To your point, one is being able to stitch together all these different systems that our customers have. If you look at a big insurance company, literally they could have hundreds of systems, and a lot of times what they struggle with is, how do I actually deliver innovation? Because I have to actually connect all these different things. I have to synchronize all the different users and things, and I have to get to the right outcome.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we talk about customer experience not being enough. You need to deliver a great customer experience, but you also need to make sure that you get the right business outcome. So the workflows that we've built out across all of our customers, whether you're an insurance company, repair facility, parts supplier, these are highly specific, highly technical things that let you run your business, again, in a way that's really relevant and specific for you. And then the AI that we introduce is always a very specific, high value use case that plugs into those workflows.
Right.
So those could be things like, historically, people would be writing estimates just by clicking on our software to be able to write an estimate for what does it cost to restore a vehicle to pre-accident condition. And now AI can pre-populate that for you. AI can be auto replying to text messages in terms of where your car is in the body shop. We have a recent innovation that we introduced around what's called subrogation. So this is a real corner of this industry, and that is essentially when one insurance company says, "No, your insured was actually at fault for this accident. You need to pay for this." And historically, that's, I'm not making this up, hundreds of pages potentially for a single claim that would be faxed, emailed, or snail mailed between two insurance companies. And so then a person would have to physically look through all those things. And now with AI, we have an AI solution for that we just announced. You can actually upload that same document, and AI can read that in 30 seconds, summarize the key insights for you, and help you again resolve that claim and restore that moment. So that's a big part of what we talk about with the CCC Intelligent Experience Cloud. Is we've had this cloud platform in place for many years, but now with all this new technology, the event-based architecture, with the advancements that we've made in data ecosystems AI, we want to challenge people to think differently about what's possible. You don't have to accept that it takes you 3 years to introduce an innovation because you have to have a million different people in your organization, get a bunch of outside consultants to come in. You can actually use the CCCIX cloud to propagate that innovation quickly, efficiently, and accurately across not just your business, but across this entire ecosystem.
Yeah, so there's a lot of confusion in the industry that's like, hey, generative AI is out, therefore deep learning is going away and machine learning is going away and analytics are going away. But I think what, my biggest takeaways of being in tech for almost 35 years is that tech is typically additive, right? And you have to comprehend every step away of data analytics, whether it's classic analytics, machine learning, deep learning, or generative AI. I'm curious what type of, if you can share it, if it's proprietary, that's okay. Talk a little bit about what you're doing in generative AI or even your architecture in general. By the way, very impressed that it's event driven. That is modern and cutting edge, and that is exactly what the largest hyperscalers do for their own applications. So you're on the cutting edge of that. Can you share anything of your AI architecture?
Yeah, so to your point, highly parallelized. We use a few different, lots of different frameworks in terms of underpinning the models. We do our own model development in-house.
Cool.
And as you know, generative AI and large language models and all the GPTs relying on transformer technology. We've been using transformers for many years in a lot of different contexts. Gen AI is certainly something that we are excited about. And we've been doing a lot of different things in that area to figure out, again, what's, to your point, what's the real value use case for customers. And so whether that's helping to do document summarization or get other types of insights. I think one of the things that, again, we're very careful about is that if you ask ChatGPT to write me an email, there's no real objective best email. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could write me an email. There really is actually an accurate outcome for writing an estimate, for valuing a total loss, for looking at medical bills and things like that. And so we have to make sure that when we deploy innovation, that we can deploy it at scale, right? So we have to deploy this across 650,000 users, across hundreds of insurance companies, tens of thousands of body shops, and it has to be something that works with all those different constituencies. So we definitely see that it's an incredibly powerful technology, but in a way we also see it, to your point, as a continuation of what's come before. If you look at the long arc of technology, it is this thing of continuously providing what we see as increasing specificity for individual problems and increasing ability to orchestrate all the complexity around those problems. And we've been doing that through iterations. And we're excited about what Gen AI and other things can do in that regard. But it's also part of the conversation with people that we're having around the IX Cloud is to get them thinking in that way, right? Don't think about it just as don't pat yourself on the back because you did a pilot in a small corner of your organization with some technology. How do you actually get that into production? How do you make that actually fit into your operations in a way that amplifies performance instead of distracting people?
That's great points here. Mark, this is a great conversation. I'm sure the audience is loving it here. I've heard the company talk about its vision of making life just work. It's very ambitious. The first thing I think of is, oh, what brilliant marketing people I hear. But I spent most of my experience at Fortune 500 tech companies, and what separates companies and their degree of success is many times being able to pull off a major vision like that. Can you talk about the challenges that the company is facing achieving the vision of just work? And obviously, more important question, how are you going to overcome them?
Yeah. So to your point, it is ambitious, and it is a vision that we're excited about, and that we actively want to work towards making a reality. Honestly, as the leader of this industry, it's incumbent on us to try to show people, take people to that future. What's interesting is this idea of just works, life just works, is actually how a lot of people describe their experience with different CCC applications. Um, you know, lots of things that are sort of inside baseball for our
It
industry.
just works.
It just works, yeah. And it is a lot of what you were describing. Of That's the nature of vertical software. Vertical software is highly tuned, highly tailored to your specific problem, your specific need, and so you're able to provide something that just works in a way that you couldn't do if you were providing something in a very general way. But it is certainly um, something that we feel like is still in the early innings of a transformation of this entire industry. Um, we do think that this idea of just works and even intelligent experiences, part of it is actually challenging people to think about, well, why shouldn't it just work? I mean, why shouldn't it be an intelligent experience? We live in a world now where you have all these incredible capabilities, and sometimes you need to change the way we talk about things, the way we you need to change the way we talk about things to change the way we think about things. There's actually a great example of this in our industry. So the first auto insurance policy ever sold was sold over 100 years ago in 1897 to a guy named Gilbert Loomis. So his own. This guy created his own automobile, and he was driving on the highway, and he got into a situation with a horse who destroyed a wagon, and he was found to be liable. He had to pay $7, inflation, obviously, to restore this situation. Now we know about this because this guy wrote an article about this experience in a magazine back in 1897. And my favorite part of this is the name of the magazine. The name of the magazine was The Horseless Age. The Horseless Age. And the reason they called the Horseless Age is because back then they didn't have a concept of an automobile, a coupe, a sedan, a sports car. They called a car a horseless carriage.
I love it.
So you now, obviously, the pace of innovation, if you are thinking of a horse as the as the basis of evolution and innovation, doesn't go very fast. A motor innovates a lot faster. So I think what we want to try to do is challenge people to think beyond, honestly, still this kind of horse and buggy era. The technology is very sophisticated, but we're still talking about things in these kind of old metaphors these sort of old paradigms. And with the IX Cloud, we want to get people to really move beyond that and be able to jump into something much more sophisticated and much more transformative.
No, I love it. I love the Gilbert horseless age and the magazine. I love this stuff, and just further affirmation that technology doesn't just go away. It just shifts, and we use more of it. Marc, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I am you're in a space that right now is the most exciting to customers for obvious reasons, right? You're delivering, using cutting edge technology. You're solving their problems, and more importantly, you're solving their customers' problems,
Yes.
right? And being behind the scenes. But I'm really glad you're talking about the tech. There's a lot of folks in your industry that don't talk about it, and I can't help but to think that it might, because you poke underneath there. There's not a whole lot there, and trying to do stuff on your own is tough. And enterprise SaaS is a cheat code in how to get there. And scale is important as well. I mean, if you don't have scale, you're going to pay more, and you're going to have to deliver that to onto your customers. But a great conversation, and I hope you'll come on the show again. I don't know, when you have a major breakthrough, maybe you just want to chit chat about AI.
Yeah, for sure. Well, look, we love what you do. I think it's so much about helping people see not just what the new tech is, but how do you actually put it to work. And so, yeah, we're really excited about what we're doing. And but yeah, I'd love to come back in the future.
That's great. That's Marc Fredman, Senior Vice President, Chief Strategy Officer for CCC on the show. And this is Pat Moorhead. Hope you like the show. If you like it, hit that subscribe button. Tell me what you think. I'm on social media more than I want to admit to. Tell me what you thought about the show. Take care and have a good day.